Hello, in this coding tutorial we're going to take our Squarespace website and we're going to add some really cool, lovely animations. Now the problem with animations often is that you often don't really need them. So when you have animations that, for example, stuff coming from left or right or being faded in as you scroll, those are often really annoying because it's like a speed limit to your scrolling. You're scrolling and the stuff pops here only after you scroll past it, so you have to slow down. So animations are often tricky and they interfere with actually reading the content. However, there's one animation we can use which adds ton of class. It works on all Squarespace websites and it's just super classy, and that is page transitions. So let's take a look at how does a page transition work. So we click on any link here. Ooh, isn't that nice? So instead of, it's just popping there like, boom, and being kind of clunky and awkward, you have this really smooth, classy experience. And we can have like zoom or this going up and down, or have like a little curtain animating, opening up, all kinds of different possibilities, rotate, spins, and we're gonna try a lot of those. So this is what we're gonna be building in this free tutorial. Now, first thing I have to mention, I also have a plugin for this. I have an animated page transitions Squarespace plugin, and this is gonna be, well, if you're not interested in the code part and maybe you have a deadline or a client that you just want this quick, then I suggest looking into the page transitions plugins. It takes maybe 1 minute to install because it's literally just one copy paste. Okay, enough with the sales pitch. Let's get rid of that one and start coding. Get into the free tutorial. All right, so here we have a Squarespace 7.1 website and we're gonna start working. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to the site availability. I'm gonna use this little shortcut here, but you can find this in the settings, site availability. And we're gonna use password protected. Now, if you have bought a plan for the free tutorial, I didn't bother buying an actual plan. So, I'm using the free version. So why we need this is because we're gonna take the URL, copy, go to an incognito window, paste, get rid of all this stuff and enter. And then we're gonna enter our password and we have the site in an incognito window. The reason we start with this is that the animations don't play all that nice when you are logged into this kind of admin thing here. So like the load out animation, it doesn't fire because we're admin logged in. Squarespace doesn't care about our animations. This only works for like actual visitors, and we're gonna pretend to be an actual visitor using the incognito. Perfect. Then we are gonna go to Google and search for Animation. I hope I said that right. Animation, and this is gonna be our kind of a plugin, jQuery plugin to help us get started. It's kind of our shortcut, so we don't have to code all this stuff ourselves. Otherwise, the tutorial would be, I don't know, 6 hours at least. So click, actually go for the GitHub one, github.com. Then here in the code part, we're gonna download the zip file. I'm gonna open the zip file and let's take a look. We're gonna go for the dist, and here we have a CSS and JavaScript file. Now we're gonna go to settings, advanced, and code injection, and here in the header we're gonna link the CSS file and add the script file. So I'm actually gonna Google this stuff so you won't it's gonna be hard to write, so I'm gonna Google link CSS to HTML like this. So we're gonna grab this thing here and copy to our header. And then we're gonna Google for HTML, add script src, something like this. And we just want to quickly find the snippet. It would be probably very painful for you to try from this video to get all this right. Maybe I will add this to the blog post when I write one. Okay. So CSS and script things are there. We're also gonna be looking for jQuery Google CDN. So look for that. This is a JavaScript library that it's a really popular one and it's needed for the animations to work. So copy this thing here and add it. I think we'll add it between the CSS and the JavaScript one. Hit save. Okay, we don't actually have the CSS or JavaScript files, so we have to upload them. So the only way to upload, well, there's, you know, if you're using this lovely extension, there's a better way, but I'm assuming you might not. So we're gonna be creating some links. So we'll add the JavaScript and CSS, and we're gonna select this, and we're gonna create a link. Click on the little cogwheel thing, go for a file, and upload file. And I'm gonna start with the CSS, the animation.mean.css, and I'm gonna add that there. Select that one, save. Whoops, I actually added it to the wrong thing, so let's call this something like CSS real. Apply, and then this can be our JS. So select the second thing, any text basically, cogwheel, file, upload file, and go back a step, and JS, go for the animation.mean.js. Open that up and select it, save. You don't need to save. The files have been updated, so I'm gonna save because it's gonna be easier for me to get these links that way. So maybe you want to create like a temporary page for this link creation upload phase, which is kind of I'm kind of annoyed that Squarespace doesn't have an easier way. Okay, again, going to settings, advanced, code injection, and here I'm gonna copy the link address for the CSS and I'm gonna add it here inside the href thing. Animation.min.css. Okay. I think there should be a period in there actually. Let's see. Is it missing? Well, let's add the JavaScript and copy that address. We'll get to the CSS thing. Okay, maybe it renamed them somehow. Okay, we're gonna go back in the animation thing and go for this first Google hit for the animation. And we're gonna be looking for this called the animation part. We're gonna copy this. Whoops, make sure to get all of it. Copy it and let's add it inside a new script tag. So this is where we add all the settings for our animation. And the first thing is we're gonna target the site wrapper. We need to specify an element to which we will add the animation, and the site wrapper is a nice one. Maybe that was a little bit quick, so I'll just show you site wrapper. There's an div with an ID of site wrapper, and we're going to add it here. Okay, and for the link element, we're just gonna start with any link. Okay, let's hit save and switch to our incognito view, and let's see. And this is where we get to kind of some of the Squarespace specific stuff. So as you can see, we're getting quite a bunch of, you know, glitches here, and we're gonna start fixing those first. So we need to add a style tag. Now I'm trying to remember how I made my plugin and all those little quirky details. We need to add a little bit of extra CSS for the site wrapper. So we're gonna add a little style tag here, and we're gonna add I think opacity to be 0. I think this was one of the things that solved one of these glitches. Oh, maybe get rid of the important one. I think maybe it was overriding the. Okay, so I think now we are getting a little bit closer. There's still some kind of weird glitches, but let's add. I'm gonna copy paste one little thing, and it's the animation fill mode. So I think once we add this one, here we can have important. I think now we're gonna be now we are in business. So sorry, I had to focus and try to remember these details. So the opacity thing, what this does is it sets the opacity of the site wrapper to be 0, because normally, because of some built-in Squarespace code, how this Squarespace template has been coded, it has an opacity set. So kind of the transition plugin is going to it's just gonna run the animation multiple times. So if we get rid of this opacity thing, maybe it's easier to show how it works. You can see the little glitch. It often happens where you get a little flash before the it loads and hides and then loads smoothly. So we do not want that. We want the opacity. Now the animation fill mode is something to kind of just avoid like the animation going in all kinds of directions multiple times. Another kind of a built-in Squarespace thing we have to override. So with those in place, I think we're starting to be a lot closer. Okay, so now we are, we're kind of on our way. Now this would need a little bit of extra adjustments. So for example, let's add a little bit of content here. Let's add a, let's for example use the mail to link. So I'm gonna use to mail to example at example.com. Okay, so Let's try this out. All right. So what's going on here is so the window went to another screen I had, but the idea is that even though this was a link and now we're targeting all the links, it was not a link to a new page. So the problem is that the fade out animation was kicked in although we didn't go to a new page. So for the link element, we're gonna need something a little bit different. So well, maybe I'll take an even more common example actually. I'll use a anchor link. Sorry, I'm jumping a little bit all over the place, but I think this will make a better example. So so let's say that we have a anchor link that goes to a specific section or a specific place in our website. So here, which page was it here? We can, yeah, so maybe this is a better demonstration. So the animation, the fade out animation kicked in, although it was just for kind of scrolling to a new section, you know, the anchor links where you click on something and you get scrolled over there. So all of these need to be dealt with, otherwise we will be in trouble. And let me try and remember the syntax here. A not and href equals, how can we get the little hat symbol? I have to copy it from somewhere. Well, I think something like this should work. I had it somewhere in my notes copied, so perfect. So what is going on here? So we are targeting links, but not links where the hrefs starts with the hashtag thing, meaning that we don't want the animation to fire on those anchor links, those kind of scrolling or jumping to a section on page links. So I'm not going to go through all of them, but ideally you would kind of do the same thing for the, not, mail to links and not PDFs and not MP3s, and I think there are some other ones as well. All right, let's look into changing some of the settings here. So I'm just gonna leave the anchor link stuff here and let's jump into creating some fun animations. So going to the animation, here we can see all these different kinds of animations. So let's change the animation to be something different. Let's use fade up, fade out up, and do we have fade in? Up and fade in down. Okay, those should be good. I'm actually gonna do this like this. Maybe it's a little bit easier. Okay, so in class, let's go with fading up large, just so we can definitely see it. So switch this into something and fade out down large. Not sure if this is gonna make for a pretty animation, but we should be able to see kind of the difference. All right, so I'm gonna click on this work. Yes, so here you can see I took the large one. It's not that elegant, but I wanted to make sure that you see that there's a difference to the pure fade animation. So you can just copy paste these here and kind of create your favorite animations. You can play with the timing. So in duration, let's take things slow and turn this into a really slow animation. Now this would probably be kind of frustrating, but I wanted to show you how you can play with the timing. So this is kind of where you get to the really fun stuff, as if we haven't had fun up until now. But you can play with the animations, you can choose your favorite, you can try a bunch of them out, and then you can make them really fast or really slow. You can choose a different timing for the in and out. So let's try a really quick one. You can't almost see it. Okay, there's one more thing. Let's see if we can make that one work. The overlay option. So I'm gonna go with the overlay slide in top. Overlay slide in top, and something like overlay slide out right. Just picking something kind of at random. And I think we need to switch the overlay to true. Another thing we need to do is add a little bit of styling for the overlay slide, and you're gonna see what that is in a moment. So I think we have the CSS class of the overlay slide here, and so we can add it here to the style. And I'm just gonna add a Z index of something insane, make that important. So just to make sure that we're gonna actually see the overlay slide. This is another Squarespace thing where the Squarespace template Z indexes cause some trouble, and unless we have this be a higher Z index. Let's add background of, I don't know, pink, and hopefully we will be able to see it. Okay, let's add a little bit of time for the animation and hope we can see it here. Okay, let's refresh. And this is the overlay option. So you can again choose the timing, choose the direction, choose the colors, and I think this, for a specific visual style where you carefully choose the colors and the directions and the timings, this can be quite fun. And of course remember that you're not just limited to colors. The pink thing, I'm gonna try something else. I'm just gonna try, well, black looks always good, so let's try a black overlay. So you're not just limited to colors. You could use any kind of CSS to edit even a background image or a pattern or something like that. So sky's the limit. All right. I wonder if I have anything else. Probably not, except that, if this seems too intense, make sure to check out my plugin for this. I think it's here, animated page transition. So if you buy this, you can just copy paste one snippet, and you don't have to kind of go through all this stuff, animation stuff, and fixing these and fixing these Squarespace glitches, and it has all these animations loaded and all that stuff. Yeah, hopefully this was useful. let me know. And if you need to hire a Squarespace specialist to work on your designs or any things like that, then feel free to hit me up, check out the plugin, and thanks so much for watching. I always have fun when I'm doing this Squarespace stuff, so yeah, thank you. Catch you later.